made a lot of water dragons. Well, have some more. Hello, I'm Mercury, and welcome to Here Be Dragons, the series where I make dragons. I drew 100 unique dragons for those who are new here, and now I'm making creature sheets for all of them. Today we're on Dragons 6 and 7, the Lanterntail Amphithere and the Diving Ziliant. All of my creatures in this video are free to use with credit, of course, but for now, let's talk dragons. Also, are there any other creatures you would like to see me draw? Who knows, maybe your suggestion might become a whole video. So stick around and comment what you would like to see me do next. Also, just a quick note, I think I'm getting sick, my voice is very sore, but that's okay, I'm still here for you. Dragons lurk in all places. Some are built for harsh, cold mountain peaks, sandy deserts, reefs, and even some of the darkest of places. When you think of an amphitheater, there are usually two things that come to mind: a winged feathered serpent, or a snake with just stereotypical dragon wings. But not this amphitheater. This is the Lanterntail Amphithere, which is a deep-sea dragon, and it gets its name from the lantern on its tail. However, only males have the tail light. However, Lanterntail Amphitheres are far more than that, as one of the few dragons who form life partnerships. The female dragons are 4 to 6 times larger than the males and have little to no bioluminescence, only cases of it seen on their horns. And they often get with 1 to 3 male dragons who would be their life partner until they all die. These dragons aren't that aggressive, but if the female feels her mates are being threatened, then there would be some major problems. The punishment would most often be exacted by the razor-sharp teeth they have to tear apart fish. It's very hard to know anything about them due to them being in the ocean, so when it comes to the tails of these dragons, all recounts of them are non-human. The only human experience with them is if they get caught in commercial fishing nets and then soon die because of them being taking care of their proper environment. Also, since the majority of the people in the classification system are humans, most creatures tend to have a human link to them, and that's what I'm trying to say is different society engage with these dragons very differently. And since there's hardly any human accounts of them, we have to go off of the Bathylux's account. They are also deep-sea creatures that typically worship the great dragon Ulazel, who is one of the 7 wonders of the mortal world. And their worshipping of a dragon comes with an inherent respect for all dragons. So it's really hard to get a picture on what these dragons might actually be like, since they are always spoken about in a holy and religious manner. And the Lanterntail Amphithere is just one example of these dragons that they attach holy ties to. Many of them saying that having one fly over you, if you are getting the Bathyluck equivalent to getting married to your partner, it would be a sign of good luck and that your relationship would have a prosperous future due to their interesting mating and the fact that they do mate for life. However, the Bathylucks are another video for another day, but what do they have to say about the Lanterntail Amphithere? As I already stated before, the Amphithere will have 1 to 3 male partners who they mate with for life. The males often circle the way larger female dragons. Some say it's for courting rituals, while others believe it's a hunting tactic. The bioluminescent underbellies of the male attract fish so the female can have an easy catching, and then she of course shares the food with her partners. Even if this wasn't the intended purpose of their bioluminescence, this has been commonly seen throughout these dragons, which is also why they're a major symbol of cooperation, good luck, and prosperous relationships. And the female also usually carries her glowing blue eggs on her back until they hatch, and then she'll begin teaching them how to hunt until they're ready to go off and begin the cycle again. Adding stuff to my taxonomy chart. As you can see, I've got a few secrets blocked off for the near future, so don't worry, you got a lot more dragons coming your way. as their screeches and roars are heard as they fly above the loud and treacherous ocean. Their sharp claws and teeth are a deadly tool used to snatch fish from the waves, fly in large islands, clouding up the skies in a variety of rainbow colors, and striking terror in those that might become their predators otherwise. This is the diving Ziliant. A Ziliant, in other words, a winged dragon that only has its front arms. They are often recognized by their large wingspan, sharp snout, colorful bodies, and very intricate spotted stripes that go across their backs. It makes its nest on rocky shores beside the ocean, where it dives into to catch fish with its claws, and then usually swallows them whole back at the nest. However, most dragons, or even birds that behave this way, usually live on rocky cliffs. This dragon, despite its massive wings, preferred to stay closer to the ground, and thus at sea level. Their claws are not adapted to hold onto rocks or wings for a very long time. The same goes for the little claws on their wings as well. So they can't gather on rocky cliff edges even if they wanted to. This is a very clear vulnerability to the diving Ziliants, but what they lack there, they make up in their group tactics. A group of diving Ziliants is specifically called an island, which does make communicating very hard as they gather on small islands, but the point is their groups are so large they can cover an entire island. Like a small one, like maybe smaller than the average cave, but still, that's a lot of dragons. They cover up these tiny islands with their bodies. If a predator were to come new, then the group attack with so many of them is easy to intimidate a predator and scare them away. Now, it's very hard to study the behavior of diving Ziliants because of their swarming techniques, and thus there isn't much known about them. However, the reason we know this much is thanks to a shapeshifter. On record, she went by the name Cam when a part of human society. Her main form was that of a half-elf, and thanks to her shapeshifter abilities, she was able to hide among the diving Ziliants and learn. Now, she never turned into one of the diving Ziliants. She was recorded to turn into something like a lizard or a mouse, which did make it very dangerous. However, she luckily survived and was able to deliver this information. What she was able to gather is that the Ziliants share one nest, often digging a hole that is about half a foot to a foot deep, which all their eggs are stored. So that means that hatchlings do not have a specific mother or father, and instead are raised by the entire group of diving Ziliants. After they hatch, they fly off and usually find other younger diving Ziliants to make their own island. But with such a large community, that means these dragons naturally separate themselves into two categories, watchers and hunters. The watchers are also separated into daytime watchers and nighttime watchers. 2/3 of the island are hunters, and they usually fly off during the day to gather fish for themselves and the watchers. They're swallowing whole the ones that were made for them while dropping off the fish for the other dragons. Now, these roles don't stay the same between dragon to dragon. They don't even switch out necessarily. It seems that they are separated by ability more than a simple rotation. A dragon that gets more fish would be more likely to be a hunter the next week than a dragon that only brought one or maybe even half of one, which then that dragon would be made into a watcher sooner. Now, from Cam's knowledge, all the dragons swap role eventually. Now, as for the watchers, with half of them sleeping during the day, while the rest are on high alert to make sure their eggs and other dragons are safe. And during the night, the roles are swapped, with the night watchers being awake and on high alert, and the day watchers being asleep. There are more night watchers than day watchers on average. The only note of dragons not having to do anything is if a female dragon is carrying eggs, they do not have to participate in being a watcher or a hunter until a few days after they lay their eggs. And this would give her some time to recover so that she's able to be in a better condition when joining her fellow Ziliants in either hunting or watching. So let's add this dragon to our taxonomy chart. Also, I'm planning to change this up to be more interesting, but I haven't had the time to get around to changing it. The link is still in the description, but hopefully it'll be a lot more interesting and cooler soon. Well, that's another video said and done, and it's December. A lot of people here are gathering with their family for the holidays, and I think it's important to note that not all families look the same. I mean, if I were to use dragons as an example, the Lanterntail Amphithere and the Diving Ziliants have very different familial structures than are your typical human today. Families can look like anything, and they don't have to be chosen by blood. And while it's great to have a relationship with your blood relatives, it's good to form connections with others, especially if you don't have that connection, which some people don't. Just stay safe this December, and remember that someone cares about you, and that no matter what your situation is, there's someone that will call you family. Alright, bye! Have a good day / night. See you next week, hopefully.